Ahoy! I have been sick again, and what else? I woke up with a bruised eye. I don't know how noticeable it is, but it's painful. You can kind of see like that side is all different. Bruised eye. No idea why. Who knows? I apparently attack myself in my sleep. Anyway, instead of rambling on about random stuff, I thought I'd actually show you a little bit of my wares. This is the only chapter I've ever shared with anyone ever. I'm quite self-conscious about my writing. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be sharing my writing, then I should share my writing. So yeah. So this is draft 1 sort of chapter 1 of Fyrthol Hall. So I say sort of because I've had all sorts of different versions of this floating around for forever, so it's not like I was coming into this raw, but it's still very much unpolished in my opinion. I am working on going into doing the second draft of this, so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to read it. I need to read it anyway. Why not film myself reading it and post it online for the world to see? So I'll read it out and then maybe I will do a little bit of discussion at the end, just because you're not just here for chapters, you're here for rambles and random bits and tidbits and stuff. So, here we go. A woman squashes onto the bus, her eyes locked with the last person left as the door snaps shut. So glad to be pressed closely to her drenched peers that she barely shows sympathy for the one stuck in the rain. Me. I get it. I'm covered in tiny waterfalls. My coat, although thick, is no match for the bitter wind. I sniff and shift, preparing for the 20-minute wait as the bus hisses and splutters, pulling away. There isn't anywhere to sit that isn't covered in puddles. The closest thing to cover is an old tree leaning over the road, but without leaves it barely hinders the onslaught of moisture. I could go back into the university, find a quiet corner of the library, bask in the glorious invention that is air conditioning. It's tempting, but that would risk missing the next bus. Instead, I fiddle with my fingers in a way I've done since before I can remember. The positions start off simple, but soon enough I knot them together in ways many have gawked at for looking painful. I don't know why I pull my hands in these unnatural poses. It's like a game. To move through all of the positions as fast as possible. A game that keeps my fingers busy when I'm bored or need to focus, and in situations like this, a game to fend off the cold. My phone rings. Hi, I call through the rain. We have a reservation of 13 tonight, and another of 6. Work, of course. Who else would call me? I sigh. I'm in the city. I can make it in an hour and a half. It'll have to do. He hangs up. I listen to the tone for a beat or two. There's already a mountain of dishes when I arrive. At least the water I rinse them with is warm. It's not like I can get any more drenched at this point. I've always found this job relaxing. When I got it, my mum told me I'd be bored to death, that her brief dishwashing gig was awful, but there's a rhythm to it, and something so satisfactory about watching them arrive covered in sauce, then placing them away entirely clean. There are challenges too, making sure the sink doesn't get blocked, and the occasional great bucket the chefs use to smoke fish. Overall, it's peaceful. If Mum hadn't insisted I go and study something, then I would probably quite happily have done this, and only this. Then again, the repetitive motions and activities do give my mind too much time to wander. I twist my mouth at the memory. I must have been 12. Our teacher decided a great icebreaker exercise would be for us to assign a colour to each classmate. She had printed out and laminated unique colours for all of us, the names of them slapped in the centre in an overused childish font. I had wanted one of the greens, a deep rich green or even lime, but they were snatched up quickly. Almost immediately after it was decided that nobody wanted it, they unanimously agreed I was beige. At the time I was frustrated that they gave it to me so quickly, but now I understand. It wasn't cruel in the slightest. I am beige, most likely to do absolutely nothing with life, or at least not of my own volition. They all knew it then, so content with being given homework, so content to eat the same sandwich for lunch every day. I never broke any rules and got along more with teachers than my peers. It's not that they didn't like me, I actually got along with most of them decently well, but my utter inability to have an opinion about anything meant I was boring and certainly not someone you befriend. Not everybody can be interesting. Society would collapse if everyone had the jobs children want. Someone has to do the boring job, and it seems I was born for it. That idea has turned into a mantra of sorts. Whenever I find my eyes lingering too long on the depths of a forest or the brilliant oranges of autumn leaves, I was meant for mediocrity, and mediocrity doesn't get lost in the beauty of this world. The mountain of dishes turns to a hill, and eventually the sink stays empty. I help the chefs pack up wordlessly. Back into the cold and damp, the rain has slowed and is now illuminated by streetlights. I know many hate the rain, but I find it quite beautiful at night. It turns the entire world into something else, something mysterious and glittering. I avert my gaze before I get sucked into the beauty. Daydreaming only leads to disappointment after all. The promise of a warm meal and a shower keeps my pace up. Light from a small office bathes the entryway in an airy blue. The sound of raindrops is replaced with a steady clacking on an old keyboard. I kick my shoes off, the thump of it stopping her for just a moment. She sighs at the interruption, but she can't be held from her typing for long. I flick the light on in her office. She winces at it, turning to glare at me. I lift the plastic container I've been carrying from work. Have you eaten? She turns back to her computer, shaking her head. Not an answer, but in annoyance. I'll leave your serving in the fridge. I step to do just that. Get one of the dining chairs down from the attic. Why? I lean back into the office. To replace the one that broke. I squint into the darkness of the house, but can't make out any of the chairs, let alone any damage that would warrant replacing one. Can I do it tomorrow? It's not like it's urgent. As long as it's done, she sighs. I linger. Her hair desperately tries to escape the bun that no doubt was neat 12 hours ago. Her blazer rests on the desk next to her, her sleeves pushed up to help her focus on whatever issue has spilled over into her evening. Make sure you eat something, yeah? She doesn't seem to notice me, completely focused, if not on her work, then on ignoring me. Night, Mum. Morning comes far too fast. My alarm blaring at me, even though the sky hasn't woken fully yet. I lie in for a while, watching the silhouette of trees come into view through the gloom. More rain. It is winter, so it's only appropriate. I'm procrastinating. I've never liked going to the attic. I have to pull a ladder from the garage upstairs, which wouldn't be such a task if there weren't so many corners in our house for me to navigate. I managed to get it upstairs without any major damage to the walls, but there are a few scuffs that weren't there before. I position it under the attic's entrance and push the panel up out of the way. Although there aren't any lights up here, and it has an inconvenient entrance, it's remarkably spacious. I set the torch down next to the opening, facing up to the ceiling to bounce the light around as much as possible as I climb up. You can't walk properly due to the low and awkward ceiling, but you don't need to crawl either. I make my way through the various boxes and furniture items in a hunched crouch that makes me feel like some creature. I'm surprised she managed to get all of them up here in the first place. I could swear that some of it wouldn't be able to fit through the skinny entrance. Actually, I'm not entirely sure the chair I'm up here to get is going to fit through. The chair that just so happens to be pinned down by boxes. I shift them out of the way, each one labelled clearly in Mum's impeccably neat handwriting, except one tucked under the chair. I pause. I can barely make out the word scrawled on it. B or R, a swirling scribble, what I think is a K, but only because K would make more sense than any similar letters in that position, and the last letter is just a line, rooks or books. I'm guessing it's not a box full of castle-like chess pieces. Mum's handwriting, cursive in a near textbook way, each letter perfect, each connection clear. Surely she would have crossed this out and rewritten it. But the letters aren't as round either. This couldn't have been her. She can't even be aware that it's here. It would drive her mad. I pull it closer to me, freeing it from the chair's legs. It's not a previous residence. This house was a new build when she moved in. I didn't do it. Not only would I remember, but I haven't put anything in the attic that wasn't checked first by Mum. A lump forms in my throat as the only other possible person comes to mind. The person that Mum scrubbed from our life with such efficiency that Secret Services would be impressed. His name has not been uttered in so long. I question if she could recall it at all. Not one trace of him remaining. That's a lie. I'm his daughter after all. The only other mark on the box is a scribble of overlapping circles, as if someone was testing a pen. Nothing to confirm my theory, but nothing to deny it either. I glance back at the entrance of the attic, as if I'd fallen upon some ancient secret. She'll be at work by now. I should be alone. But I can't help but feel as if somewhere in the darkness eyes are following me. Granted, if the cobwebs are at all new, then there likely is at least 8. I calm myself. It's a box of books. It's not going to have an explanation of why he disappeared. It's not going to change anything. It's just a forgotten box of books. It's not even a particularly big box. I push it back to where it was, but I can't bring myself to remove my hand. What if it's not just a box of books? What if there is something in there that can help me understand? What if there's a letter tucked between the pages that explains everything? What if mediocrity doesn't daydream? I remind myself. That's not what this is, though. It's not about the tiny possibility of answers. I'm simply checking a mysterious box in our attic. If I open it and there's nothing, then I will take it to an op shop and finish what Mum started. The likelihood of it being just that, nothing, is astronomically high. I have nothing to worry about, after all. It's just books. I swallow, pulling it back towards me. Slowly, as if trying not to disturb a bomb, I open the box, one flap at a time. The spines are facing towards me, all 6 of them. They're chunky books, leather and fabric bound, the sort of books you imagine are at a library before you've ever been, only to discover that the vast majority of books in a library have printed covers with an additional shiny protective plastic wrap. The titles are worn with age and use. The one furthest to the left is the newest, and the only still readable, Fundamental Transcription Volume 1 by Dr. Michael Huxley. I've been at university long enough to recognise a textbook when I see one. Even if this does have historic stylings, I pull it out. Small text with diagrams explaining strange symbols. Definitely a textbook. Something flitters down from the pages. A rectangle of glossy paper. I frown at the blocky repeating words that cover it. The diagonal pattern they form reminds me of the back of an old printed photo. I was only 6 when he left. I don't remember what he looked like at all. As I flip it over, my heart lurches. I've never seen Mum smile so brightly. A bundle wrapped up tightly in her arms. The baby is utterly tiny in comparison to the hand that rests on it. A broad hand, belonging to the man holding the camera, the object of Mum's smile. My eyes fill with tears. They were happy once. We were a family once. Pain I hadn't realised I had wells up within me. I shove it deep down, pressing the photo back into the pages. I should place it away, and close it back up and push it back into the shadows to be forgotten about once more. But I know I can't. Instead, I leave the book open, placing it on the floor next to me, and take the next one out. This one is full of nothing but walls of dense text. The next 2 have more of those symbols, but are far more complex. Book number 5 is a collection of drawings of hands in different poses. The very same gestures from the game I play with myself. He taught it to me from this book? I rest the book on the pile I've started and reach for the last one, a collection of poems and recipes with delicate drawings in the borders. As I go to close it, a handwritten note catches my eye on the first page. I know you're going to specialise in transcription, but don't neglect other forms. A master of none is better than a master of one, and all that. Best of luck with your studies. P.S. You better write to me often, or I'll slip belladonna into something the next time you're home. Kiss kiss. The handwriting has a whimsical feeling, taking its time with wide swelling letters. Another hand I don't recognise. Fury runs through me, as if one note confirms infidelity. I glance down at Mum's smile. If I were to even imply his existence, she would give me a look of icy fire that can only be conjured with pure hatred of a thing. The kind of hatred that I don't think even cheating can cause. I let the burning emotion out through my nose. I read the inscription over and over again. There's nothing incriminating here, at least in regards to their relationship. I believe belladonna is a poison. If it was a message from a lover, then surely they would be more affectionate, or at least not quite so violent. Siblings, on the other hand, are weirdly murderous, right? A sister? Do I have an aunt? I put it back in the box. Then the others, one at a time, stopping once more on the first. I hadn't noticed before, but they're in messy notes in the margins, words circled or underlined here and there. The symbols the notes relate to remind me of some video game or fantasy film. Maybe these are collector's items? The thought is immediately cast in doubt. The symbols have had far too much thought put into them, even for the most intricate games. And something about them fascinates me like nothing has before. My phone beeps, warning me of the time. I place the book back in the box and close it up, the simple scribble from before catching my eye. It's not just a scribble, it's one of those symbols hastily drawn, instead of pushing it back into the depths of the attic as I know I should. I push the box towards the entrance along with the chair. As I thought, the chair doesn't easily come out. I leave it by the entrance for later, but awkwardly take the box with me, hiding it under my bed. I can't get the image of those symbols out of my head. The few that I looked at have burned themselves into my eyelids. I need to look at them again, study them, read through the book itself and the notes. I shouldn't. I have classes to worry about, work too. This can wait. As I get myself ready, I can't stop my mind from wandering back to them, no matter how hard I try. As if possessed by some far more curious and adventurous soul, I take that first book out again, Fundamental Transcription, and shove it into my bag as I leave. So that's draft 1, chapter 1. So I'm pretty happy with it. There's a lot of things that I really like. I think the bit in the attic where she finds the books, I think that bit's like really good and really strong, and I want to take that forward through to draft 2. The major things that I'm changing between draft 1 and draft 2 is I changed the world building. I mentioned it, I think, in the first video, but I decided that it doesn't need to be our world. Originally it was an our world but then I changed it to just an entirely different world. Things like her just casually answering the phone or mentioning video games and whatnot, it kind of is a bit of a disconnect with how the world now is. So probably going to change that. Otherwise though, I'm actually really happy with it. It's been a while since I've read it, and it's not bad. It's alright, I dare say. So yeah, more work will happen, and I will try and keep you updated, and hopefully I won't get sick or any more mysterious bruises. Until next time, bye bye.